Welcome to Your Success Podcast. We give you actionable insight and stories behind real-life success wherever you go. Here are your hosts, Angelos and Mo.
Hello podcast listeners, it's Angelos and Mo here.
Just a quick note to say PigPods has rebranded to Your Success Podcast.
So thank you for listening and we hope you enjoy this great episode.
Welcome to PigPods, Your Success Podcast. I'm Angelos.
And I'm Mo.
Today we're going to be discussing the topic of motivating yourself during those down times. We're all motivated and driven people, whether that is in our business or personal lives, but sometimes things come out of the blue and kick us hard. It could be a conflict with a colleague at work, or money concerns, or a divorce, or a death of a loved one.
So today we have a motivational expert with us from the Proctor School of Thinking, James Marks. We'll be talking about how to handle these situations and build yourself back up again from rock bottom. So welcome, James. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's an honour to be here, guys. I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
So, James, we mentioned the Bob Proctor School.
Yep.
Can you explain to listeners that might not know who that is or what that is, how this helps give you an edge when working with your clients in the self-development world?
Yeah, of course. Well, Bob Proctor is kind of arguably the world leader in personal development at the moment. He's studied Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill for the last 57 years, among other things. And he himself and his business partner, Sandra Gallagher, a few years ago wrote a program, The Thinking into Results, and that's the kind of school I'm from. So where this program differs from the rest is it deals with your paradigms. It deals deep inside, and a paradigm is, for those people who don't know, it's a series of habits which is stored deep inside our subconscious mind, and they control us on autopilot. Now these habits are, you don't even know they're there until you actually go searching for them in your own mind. They're there through hereditary. You get them from your parents and your grandparents, and you also get them from your environment. And generally, a lot of these habits, or these paradigms, are negative. And as I said, we kind of work on autopilot all the time. So our negative habits and beliefs lead to our negative behaviours, which lead to our negative actions and negative results. But by really kind of really working on these paradigms for a series of thought-provoking questions, you can really start to change them, and your level of awareness changes through the program. How you do this? It's kind of time-spaced repetition. You're asking yourself the same questions over and over again, and finding kind of where you're going wrong in life. It really is a kind of transformational program. It's the course is 6 months, but it's really a course for life.
So can you give us a real life example of a paradigm that's sort of a negative thing that might be holding people back in their life?
Yeah, very much so. It's as for argument's sake, how could I put it? Well, you know that you need to do something, and you put it off. There's a task that you need to do, so really, really important, that you know will push you on in life, and then you do every other chore, but you do the dishes, you wash the car, you send another email, and you know it's there, it's hanging over you, and for some reason that kind of negative habit is there, and you can't sort of change it unless you kind of dig inside and then you actively change it. Once you've got the awareness of what you're doing or what you're not doing, should I say, then you can start to change it. Then you can start to prioritize those difficult decisions that they are to make, which are the kind of the tipping point of where we progress in life. So it's really kind of deeping down and your awareness, or the awareness of your own thoughts. And that's where it kind of changes you.
So, James, we're going to talk about 3 different levels of lack of motivation, those down days. So we're going to start off a nice, easy one with those occasional down days that we all sometimes get. How do you build yourself up from those just like once a week, maybe once a fortnight, where you just doubt yourself, where you doubt what you're doing? That chimp part of your brain is saying, why bother? How do you build yourself up from that?
Unfortunately, they're all part of everyday life, aren't they? They really are. But it's having that kind of level of awareness of where you are down. And if you kind of really, at the end of the day, pick out 4 or 5 positive things that happen, because there will be positive things in that day. It may be hard to see it as it's happening. But when you sit down and you kind of reflect on your day at the end of the day, and then write it down. If you write it 4 or 5 kind of positive things that happened, any negative things, take them as a lesson. Literally, take them as a learning kind of lesson. And it is really positive thoughts. Keep those positive thoughts. Focus on your goal. As I'll talk later in the interview, I'm very, very sort of keen on people setting goals and kind of worthy goals for themselves. And it really does help for success in life. So it's not to beat yourself up either, because these days happen, and this is how we grow as people, and this is how we carry on in life.
Yeah, I've only recently started doing this, and I realised that one of my motivational things is seeing the success, right? So I write down little wins during the day or during the week or the month, and I call it my hope for the future 2018. And it will start with small little things, and then it will build up to the larger successes that I anticipate happening during the year. And it's quite surprising how quickly you tick them off. And it's just that little reassurance, that encouragement that keeps you going during those down days.
It is very much so. And kind of little things. Something just happened to me walking here. Actually, I walked 500 yards to this office, and a few years ago I used to run a charity half marathon. Every year we choose a different charity and put their logo on the back. And I've just saw a chap running around the Barbican with one of the t-shirts on. And it's just fantastic. That's just really kind of cheered me up. So that will keep me going for a day or two, actually. It's just those little things in life, and just focus on them rather than the negative things.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. And I think I've heard that before in terms of like just writing down what you're grateful for, which I guess is similar to what you were saying around like writing down 3 or 4 good things that have happened that day and just noticing the small things and actually writing those down.
Yeah, very, very much so. I'll talk a little bit later on in the interview about that and about the importance of that.
Okay. So what should you do when you lay in bed in the morning and you think, what is the point in doing anything today? How can you snap out of that? How can you break out of that sort of funk if you've got that?
That is where I'm going to sit in with your gratitude. I mean, it's kind of one word. It is once you're in that kind of state. It's very easy to, but you must realise we're in charge of our own thoughts. There's nobody else that can change your thoughts by yourself. But it all starts with gratitude. I mean, if you start the day with, I do this every single day, and I've done it for a very long time. It's helped me out in some very difficult times. I have a pad, I put up my gratitude pad, and the first thing I do after I put the kettle on, I sit down and I write gratitude, date it, and I write between 3 and 10 things of what I'm really grateful for. Now, it's very easy just to list things I'm grateful for, my family, my health, and then just listing. But if you do it on a cellular level, and you really inside emotionally get involved in what you're grateful for, it changes your day from the very, very start. I generally do this at 5:30 in the morning, and 99.9% of the time I have a fantastic day because I'm grateful for what I've got. I'm concentrating on what I have, not what I haven't got. It's I'm very goal driven, so I'm focusing on the goal, but I don't focus on the end result. I focus on what I'm grateful for and what I have now.
So how do you, because I think that's an interesting balance as well, and definitely something I struggle with, is how do you simultaneously be grateful for what you've got but acknowledge that you haven't got everything you want out of life? It
is, and we are, the human race, are a goal oriented person, aren't we? And this is how we've got ourselves out of the cave to where we are now, and there's what Elon Musk is doing, sort of going to Mars. It's an awful long way in this very short amount of time, isn't it? We're here to grow, aren't we? As individuals, you can be happy in life, you can be grateful in life, but you don't have to be happy with what you've got in life. You can grow and you can have the goal, but have that gratitude. It kind of all fits in really, really well. You can have your big goal, your main kind of worthy ideal, as I would call it, with a series of little goals to get to it, but just be grateful for what you got now.
I call it tornado syndrome, James, and I'm guilty as much as anyone about this. Not really appreciating how far you've come from.
Yes.
And you're a tornado. You're burning this path of success, and you're full steam ahead, and to hell with whatever comes at you. You know you're going to conquer it, but sometimes you just need to pop your head up a little bit and look back at where you've come from.
Yes.
And realise actually it's not too bad, you know. Don't beat yourself up all the time. You know, there's always going to be goals, but just appreciate how far you've actually achieved and how well you're doing.
Yeah, very much so. Steve Jobs kind of famous quote: "You can't connect the dots going forward; you can only connect them looking backwards." It's very, very true. It's sort of great words from a great man.
Yeah. So anyone who's laying in bed listening to this, and hopefully they aren't, and they're feeling a little bit dispirited with life, with their direction, just be grateful for that one or two thing, and then hopefully that will kickstart something within them to drive them out and take the first steps out of bed and go out and have a great day.
Yeah, well, I use a little technique if I kind of find it hard, and I've got this straight out of kind of Bob Proctor and Sandra Gallagher's teaching, is if you are finding it hard, sometimes it can be, especially in the kind of really down days, if you've had a kind of a really bad life experience, is get yourself in tune with a memory. A really happy memory. Go to your happy place somewhere, whatever it is. It could be a nice holiday, you know, sort of great times, a wedding, whatever. But kind of relive it in your mind, and that will kick something off in your mind and your brain, and your endorphins will start kicking. And you start to feel happier once you're in that place. Then start on your gratitude. But like I said, on a cellular level, really, really, in a deep subconscious kind of way. And if you can write one thing one day, fantastic. And then maybe a week later you can write 2 or 3. And then it works. It's such a great technique. I do it every single day. Unfortunately, last April I lost my original hero. My father died out of the blue. And once I stopped grieving, it was sort of, obviously I'm still grieving now at parts, but I used the gratitude. And for weeks and weeks and weeks I wrote about my father every single morning. It's not kind of War and Peace, it's just 1 or 2 sentences. And it really, really helped me. It really got me out of those dark times.
Do you find by writing it down, it almost relieves and offloads it from the brain so it doesn't need to think about it?
Very much so, but it also kind of makes a better connection as well, rather than kind of like saying it. Once you take sort of pen to paper and you write it down, it makes it more personal. It makes it a kind of better connection. I'm a great advocate of writing an awful lot. I go through pad after pad after pad after pad. It's such a great technique.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move it on another stage, shall we, James? So death, divorce, bankruptcies, etc., etc. These are all shocking events in anyone's life and can really consume them. And unfortunately, because it is human nature, sometimes you can have more than one happen at the same time and can really knock you for 6. How do you overcome such a shocking event but still allowing enough time to grieve?
Yeah, very much. As I sort of touched a moment ago, unfortunately I've been experienced 2 of those things. Divorced, and my father died quite recently. Luckily I haven't been bankrupt, I've got no intention of that either. but if it does, like you said, it's part of life, isn't it? And this is how we grow. There's nothing we can do about it. And if there's nothing you can do about it, you have to grieve. Of course you do. You have to take that time. And that's part of it as well. And that's how we grow as individuals as well, through that grieving process. I know how shocking it has been over the last few months for myself and my family. I've come out a stronger person. I really have. And it's again, focuses on those positives. And in the case of a death, is focusing on the positive times you've had with that person and those happy memories, and focus on those rather than your loss. Because unfortunately, those people aren't coming back. But what we are left with are the long-lasting, fantastic memories we have for them.
A few people I've spoken to who have experienced loss, especially with immediate families, a sense of regret.
Yeah.
And not having said something or done something or shown enough appreciation during that person when they were alive. And I imagine you get consumed with guilt for not doing it, guilt of the regret. How do you overcome that? Because that will never happen. You know, that having to say that one nice thing to your, the friend, the family member, whatever else, it's not going to happen. So how do you reconcile that within your brain so you can let it go and move on?
And it is exactly that. You're hitting the nail on the head, Angelos. Is you move on. You cannot change it. If there's a situation in life, be it in any walk of life, if you can't change it, you can't stress about it. You're only going to hurt yourself. You really have to kind of just move on and focus on the positives. It's very easy to say that, and it is quite a hard thing to do, but with kind of repetition and constantly focusing on the positive rather than the negative, like I mentioned before, we are in charge of our own minds. Nobody can take that away from us. We choose our thoughts. We choose negative thoughts, negative things are going to happen to us. If we choose positive thoughts, positive things are going to happen to us. And through repetition and time-space repetition, things start to get better, because we can live from the inside out. We have these mental faculties that we've been gifted: our will, our intuition, our perception, our memory, our imagination. They're very, very underused skills, or sort of faculties that we've got in life.
So we have the phrase of "you are what you eat."
Yeah.
Is it applicable to say you are what you think?
100%. All the great leaders throughout time have disagreed on every other point, bar this one point. We become what we think about, but it goes deeper than that. If we become what we think about on a subconscious level, you can't just say, right, I'm going to win the lottery. I'm going to think about winning the lottery and win the lottery next week. It's not going to happen. But if on the success side of things, if you think really positively, you do become what you think about. But on a cellular level, if you get it deep inside your core, inside your subconscious mind, and change your paradigm from the negative to the positive, yes, we do become what we think about. And it's been proven throughout history, time and time again.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you kind of get up early, sort of 5:30. Yes. You're looking at your journaling and things like that. My question is, how can we maintain a great level of energy and motivation day on day? And do you think, is that one part of it, getting up early, and how do you do that yourself?
Yeah, very much so. I've been an early bird for a very, very long time, it's one word, and we touched on this earlier, it's gratitude. If you get that attitude of gratitude in your life, after a very short space of time, your whole life changes. Yeah. It really does. For me, I've got a set routine. I get up at 5 and 5:30 if I've had a bit of a later night, and it's gratitude straight away. I also use affirmations, positive affirmations, for my goals I set myself in life, where I could kind of...
Affirmations, changes for those who don't know what they are?
Yeah, it's basically a 1 or 2 sentence tagline, which is positive, and you just keep repeating it to yourself what you want out of life, your sort of goals as well. But also, I touched on our mental faculties, as if you watch a child play, you just sit there and watch a child, their imagination is fantastic. They're everywhere in the world, aren't they? They're doctors, they're nurses, they're astronauts, they're swashbucklers, it's fantastic. And unfortunately, school knocks that out of us. If you're a daydreamer or you're imagining, you're wasting your time. You just focus on your work, and it's knocked out of us when we go to school. So as we get to adults, we've forgotten the skill. But if you use your imagination to focus on your own life, or where you want to be in your own mind, which, again, it's entirely up to us. We choose our own thoughts. That kind of picks you up on the day. It really does. It's a great technique. Again, I use it generally before I go to sleep at night. It's thinking about where I want to go in life, where I want to live, who I want to be with, the holidays I want, the finances I want, and you live it and you see it in pictures, because we think in pictures. Yeah. It's a fantastic way to keep you motivated.
Brilliant. So, James, this podcast is all about success, and we ask everyone that comes on the podcast, what does success mean to you?
That's a fantastic question. I'm glad you answered that. I touched on this in the kind of pig talk in January. It's different for everyone, isn't it? I think it really is. But for me, the way I look at it, and this was penned in the 50s by a guy called Earl Nightingale, and I'll direct quote, success is the progressive realisation of a worthy ideal. What I understand that as is, if you're progressively moving towards a worthy ideal, your goal, you're a successful person. If you're taking steps every single day, you're taking the knockbacks on the chin, as you will do. You have the bad days, you have the losses, and you progressively move towards your worthy ideal, your goal. You're a successful person. It's when you come across a problem and you let it beat, and you let it beat you, that's when you become a failure.
And just, I really like that definition. And just on that, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the phrase was, you shouldn't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about something that you won't care about in 5 years. So if it won't matter in 5 years, something like that, I'm paraphrasing, but if it won't matter in 5 years, then don't spend more than 5 minutes pondering on it. So I think, as you mentioned, the losses and the setbacks that you get, put them in perspective. How big are they in terms of everything else? And more importantly, what can you learn from them rather than dwelling?
Yeah, very much so. It's those lessons as well. I mean, we all fail at things, don't we? Or they don't go as well as planned, but it's how you pick yourself up and kind of dust yourself off and sort of carry on in life.
Yes, absolutely.
And finally, James, can you give our listeners one bit of advice to help them achieve that success?
Yeah, it's stay positive. It really is. It's dark days are going to happen, bad things are going to happen, but get the positive out of everything and do nice things in life. Today I gave blood. It's a fantastic thing to do. It takes half an hour, and in 5-6 weeks' time, I'll get a text message saying your blood's been used in such and such a hospital. I had one a little while ago, a few months back. I was going out for dinner just around the corner here, actually, walking into a restaurant, got a text message, thanks ever so much, you just saved someone's life in blood. And it's fantastic, just those little tiny things. You see, help someone across the road. Just those little tiny things just to pick you up in life. And they work wonders. They really do. I think
that's increasingly important in a world where we're sort of so connected but so disconnected at the same time, that it's very easy to sort of miss out on those little things, just be focusing on your phone all the time or on your computer, but actually like connecting with people on that level, whether that's like through giving something like giving blood or actually speaking to someone or helping them across the road. I think that's super important.
Yeah, very much. And you can start with yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can start by sort of making yourself feel better by, like you said, okay, it's all going well. Yeah, you're doing really well, James. You're doing X, Y, and Z, and it's working. You're progressively working towards that worthy ideal. And your family, we can get very disconnected to our own families. It's take that extra walk, take that extra kind of half an hour to turn the television off, put your phones down, and have a chat with each other. It's really, really empowering stuff, and it's free, and it's there in front of us as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time today, James.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. It's been an honour.
I'm sure we will ask you again to come back on. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah, I suppose the best way is through my website, which is jmarks, which is MARKS consulting.com, and on there is a contact form. And if anybody wants to chat, just fill out the contact form. I'll get someone to give you a call to arrange a convenient time where we can have a chat.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again, James. But we want to know your thoughts at home and your experiences on how you deal with those downtimes and how you stay positive. Drop us an email on hello@pig.network or get in touch on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram.
Thanks for listening to Pig Pods, your success podcast. Click subscribe, leave us a review, and we look forward to your comments on the Pig Facebook page or YouTube channel. I've been Angelos.
I've been Mo.
And see you again on the next exciting Pig Pod.